Hello, here we are for our What's Your Commitment Live. This month we're talking about the conversation on around compassion. Last week we really looked at compassion over here with ourselves. Us, like what does it look like to have compassion for ourselves? So right now I've set up the live. There's Helen. I'm bringing her in. Let's and we can have this conversation today. Let's see. Here she comes. Here she comes. Yes.
Here I am. I
Hello.
was about to type that I'm here. Okay. But here we go. Look,
Yay.
it's two of
How
us.
seamless. Whoa. When? It's been a while
Woohoo!
since like that seamlessly we've come together.
Here we go. Here we are. And look, we're both wearing our drapey things.
Ooh, drape. I love my drapey, sweatery things, especially in this Victoria climate. Gives you that little extra bit of warmth and cuddle when the wind breezes by.
But yes, and I just had a little bug fly out my hair.
Ooh. Right. So we this month have been exploring the whole conversation around compassion and taking a look at it as like what does it make available as a connection tool? Like what does compassion bring? The different places we can explore compassion and bring it into our lives. And that's what we've been up to this month of
Yes,
June.
we
And
really have.
I've been loving it. Like I'm
Oh,
really I love these conversations because each month when we take on one of these connection tools, I get to have access to new ways to be with my kids.
mm,
Like new ways even to be with myself actually too. New ways just to
yeah,
be in this parenting conversation.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
last week we were looking at compassion over here with ourselves. Like what does it look like to
yes.
have compassion with ourselves? And what does that make available? What kind of things, bring it on? Like that whole looking and inquiry of compassion over with ourselves.
Got it.
What did you discover, Miss Helen?
Well, I love what you're saying. So first of all, I'm just looking. This week, I had a really powerful conversation with one of my kids who was about to go and write an exam. And I was in the middle of something. And I really just looked at him and he wasn't feeling well. And I really just looked at him. And in that moment, like, I actually stopped. And I was just like, I can't even imagine what it must be like. It's his first provincial exam. He has significant learning disabilities and requires all this like extra stuff. And it's so easy to go to this conversation about, I don't know, like how he's not enough, like that would be the easy place to go. And right there, like he's not well, he's really nervous. And right there, that moment, I was just like, man, I love this kid. Like, what is there that I can do right now that would be like in the world of being a bridge between you and me, and we're all in this together, Like, how do I do that? And right there, it was just beautiful because I really, instead of having a whole running commentary, I was just like, okay, tell me everything. And he just, he just gave it to me. And it wasn't ugly. It was just, he gave me the world of it, right? And his girlfriend happened to be standing there next to me. And then later, anyway, and so right in that moment, we just had this conversation where I could listen and hear, and he could be heard, right? And right in that moment, then he had space. And I also could just say to him, it's not unusual to have this experience. Everybody writing exams has this experience, right? It's not just look where you are. And he totally just like, he was just like, saw, okay, there's actually an opportunity here. He could be curious here. He could just take this on, right? Regardless of his like physical like snot city that he was experiencing, regardless of how he was feeling with his nerves and everything, and regardless that his girlfriend is visiting for the first time in umpteen million months, right? That there was just this opportunity to take it on. And why I'm bringing that up is because afterwards, it took him a long time. It took him like 6 hours to complete his exam. Um, and I went to pick him up and I was like, I was fretting. And I look at him and he's not dead because he's actually been like, this is all there is to take this on. And, he walked out of the exam knowing himself as somebody who just took it on for whatever it was and whatever it wasn't. And then there's this whole enlivened being instead of this drained human. There's this whole enlivened being with me. But what was really interesting was afterwards is I wasn't sure I'd really made the difference for him. And then I turned to Adrian. Adrian says, do you know that his girlfriend then said, your mom needs to teach my mom how to do that. And then she came back and told me exactly the same thing. She said, Helen, that really made a difference where you could get all this communication. Yes, because where was I standing in
Hmm.
being a bridge?
Hmm.
Not about like, let's get this on, let's get you fixed, let's get it sorted. Let's
Yeah.
be in this together. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm just hearing in your sharing, I'm just so present to like um how easy or how often um we just kind of get on with things like come on, like there's stuff to do, like hap at it, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these things to handle,
Mm-hmm.
people to deliver to their various places and bellies to feed and
Mm-hmm.
jobs to be done, and we can so quickly not be with our kids when they're dealing with stuff. And it's not like that it's not like they have to have it. And there's still times that we're going to, not be fully there for them and things like that because
Yeah.
they're dealing with stuff and we're all human, right? But what I just hear is each and every time we actually just have that pause and we get to be with our kids and with compassion as this tool and this bridge to be with them. Every time we do, what I just hear, it's like you're filling the relationship cup, like you're filling up the relationship and like forming that relationship so that in all those other times where maybe like you just literally don't have access to like be with them
Mm-hmm.
in that conversation because there
That's
is,
brilliant,
here like
Szara.
I am leaving and I'm going. It's like there's a resiliency that builds up. There's just this like cup that's filled with love and knowing that you are there and that
Mm-hmm.
there might be a circumstance that prevents it. And then they get to know themselves in a way that they can handle it. They have
Yeah.
this tools and skills.
Yes.
So like I just hear even in compassion with myself. So that's like this week I was really present to like compassion over here with myself because like
Mm.
often I have it like I'm not enough. Like I would really love to be with my
Yes.
kids every moment of every day and really
Yeah.
be with them and everything that they're dealing with and support them in anything, right? And
Yeah.
and like
Of
that's
course.
really not realistic, especially with a large, well, it's not realistic for any size family. And then especially, add 5 kids in there and moving
Mm-hmm.
and all these different things that are happening. And, there's only so many times I can have those opportunities. But what I'm just and for myself, I go to make myself like I feel bad. Like I feel really
Mm.
guilty and bad as a
Really
parent.
good. Yeah.
Like I really I want more. I want it to be more. I am so present to the fleetingness of this moment and so
Mm-hmm.
present to like, they're growing. Like my gosh, my oldest is 20 years old. I
Yeah.
can't believe that. When I was packing, we're in the process of moving out of our house and onto our boat and this awesome adventure. And as I was going through my things, I came across Aiden's moss bag. So my oldest, he's 20 years old, and my mom, God bless her heart, wow, she's really just made this beautiful moss bag for Aiden when he was born. To honor the Cree heritage in our family line and things. And it's just this beautiful moss bag that he actually only wore for like 1 or 2 days because he was this huge baby and it was made for like a really smaller normal sized child. Um, but but like I had it out and I had it stretched out and it was so small and it was so little.
Yeah.
And it's like and then like there's this 6'1", boy, man, in front of me now.
Yeah.
And like it's beautiful. Like I'm so moved by the opportunity I've gotten these 20 years with him. And
Mm.
and yet at the same time it's bittersweet because it's like where my brain first goes to is all those moments that I was busy, or all those
Yes.
moments I had stuff to do, or all those moments where maybe I raised my voice, or all those moments
Yeah.
I reacted, or all those moments I
Yes.
wasn't the parent that I was actually committed to be.
Yes.
And it's like it breaks my heart. It's like, oh, Aiden, I'm so sorry. Like it's the first
Mm.
thing that like wants to come out of my mouth. And so
Mm.
like bringing compassion over here for ourselves this week has really made a difference actually to go through these things because it's like in that moment it's like okay, I was a human and I did react. I raised my voice sometimes. I got mad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also what's so present is all these beautiful moments. All these moments where I did have those moments of connection and
Exactly.
they're worth more than anything, right? Like I'm just so present. They're so worth more than everything. Like it's this moment captured in time where our relationship formed, and we have like it's those moments aren't taken away by anything, even like a raised
No,
voice the next corner you turn. Like
they're not. Because, and that's what I was going to say to you. Like, I know that was like one of those moments I'm not going to get over for the rest of my life.
yeah,
Right. And that is where we maintain our relationship. And you're so right. It's almost like an inoculation. right?
Yeah.
Against the crappy parts.
Yeah. But it's like this connection, right? Like all of these connection
Hmm.
tools that we speak of each month, like, you know, as parents, we're bringing them whether we're in the conversation or not. We're bringing our
Yeah,
commitment forward. It's just
yeah,
we're like here really exploring it so we get to have more of it and like really get to dig into it.
exactly. Yeah,
But I'm just so clear that every moment we've actually had those moments of connection, it's really established something. And it's established
100%.
something that's you can't degrade it. You can't break it down. And it's resilient and it's formed. And it's just I'm
Well, I
just I
think,
this week I was just so present to that. And with that, it gave me such love for myself. It's like,
yes,
you know, okay, I'm not perfect. Great. I get to be imperfectly perfect. I get to be me. Um,
yeah,
and I really actually get to celebrate those moments of connection in that relationship I have with my son and these moments we've had together.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly. And I like it was interesting just given like I like it I actually had a conversation with someone, and sometimes I think like for me, sometimes compassion gets created when I open my mouth with somebody else, right?
Mhm.
So my experience was like I was feeling really flat yesterday. It wasn't like all lit up and excited by life. And it wasn't like there was anything wrong either. But it was in opening my mouth about it that I actually got, oh, actually, I could actually just have some compassion for where I am right now instead of trying to drive myself somewhere. But oh, maybe I'm doing the next topic.
No, it's perfect. This is
But
perfect.
it's
It's okay,
yeah,
good.
but it really was, right? Like it was in that moment and sharing like how I was experiencing stuff, and that everything was looking just fine. It wasn't like there was anything, but I wasn't all lit up and thrilled with my life. That I actually for a moment stopped and like actually listened to what I'd been anticipating, what hadn't happened, right? And actually had some compassion for the fact that, oh, it's okay, and you don't have to always, have it all sorted, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And what Helen's speaking to is like this week. So last week we had the topic of, you know, like having compassion over with ourselves. And then
Mm,
this week we're exploring, okay, compassion. We get that, you know, it bridges and gets to be with the other person. It brings connection. There's all these benefits to compassion. But this week's topic is okay, compassion, but how do you bring it? Now, like really how do you access that compassion? And and it's as an inquiry. It's not like there's some right way or there's just
yeah.
one way. It's like what for yourself. It's this noticing what actually gives you access to compassion in that moment. Like there you are with your child, your spouse, yourself in life, whatever
Hmm.
circumstance experience you're in, and you might be reacting. You might be having a
Oh,
reaction. You might be upset. You might be frustrated. You might be busy. You might be full. And what though in that moment gives you access to compassion?
yeah. Do you have I know that when my kids were really small and really challenging, the one thing that I mean just challenging in the world of intensity, right?
Yeah.
And I had three kids pretty close together and it was crazy. The thing that like I know
Yeah,
you
we just
recreated in that
recreated.
one.
I've totally recreated, and it's
Yeah.
great to hear.
Yeah, but I remember the one thing is that if I actually like could stop for a moment and look at my kids in their eyes,
Mhm.
that would
Yes.
stop me dead, because when I looked in those eyes, I would just, yeah, like it was literally, I don't know what it was, but it was like this, like metaphysical experience, right? There
Yeah.
they really are.
Yeah. I really hear that. Like as soon as you just look at your child and you just actually the eyes is perfect when you look in the eyes because when we're busy we're looking away or doing all these things. But that moment you turn, oh, that's the coho coming in. I'm down in a marina downtown Victoria on the boat. So that's boat life, honks and horns. Um But it really is like the moment you actually look over at the child and actually like yeah, because that moment you look at them in the eyes, it's like it's this real person. It pulls you out
Exactly.
of yourself. It's like, oh my gosh, that's my child.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't just apply. I mean, I'm really clear. Like, it's actually when I look at people, like, because I work with kids, right? It's also when I can have a whole set of like thoughts running through my head. But when I actually turn and look at the kid, or the adult that I'm working with,
Yeah.
and actually look them in the eye, and then I'm like, oh, real human. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find for myself, it's not there's things I don't even do in the moment that gives me access to it. Like I find like I love cherishing or celebrating
Mm.
all the moments that we have together. Like if you look at my
Yes,
phone, I have lots of different pictures of my kids on my phone that are just there. And just having like these little reminders in my life of the moments we've had
brilliant.
together or who my kids are just has me present to who they are and what we have.
Yeah,
And so then when
really
I come
good.
across them, even if I'm busy, it's like my heartstrings are already like tugged. It's
Yes.
already like, oh, I love the life that we have together. I love those moments we have together. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
so then available for them.
Yes,
And I know that makes a difference for me. Like it really,
for
like it's what
sure.
I can do before I see them really makes a difference for me to come from compassion.
Yeah. And like similarly for me, if I actually just sit for a minute, I do the photo thing, and I remember really clearly when the kids were small, I would actually look at like their baby photos or whatever and
Yeah.
remember. And I mean, that's what's useful about social media. You know, we can say all the world about social media, but it like keeps popping stuff up like from the past, which you know may or may not be a good thing. But then like you're connected immediately to who those small people are. And when I used to do that with the kids' baby photos, and I'd be like, this is who actually I'm interacting with. This little soul that came in with, you know, nothing like other than itself. You know, I don't know how else to say it, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. This like little being, right? That's all that there is in front of me. Um, but I also notice that when I actually just sit and think who people are for me, like if I'm really like it's part of like I think why we talked about gratitude and acknowledgement is like when you actually sit there for a moment and actually acknowledge who people are, right? That then there is the space to be compassionate immediately, right?
Mm-hmm. And a great tool that I find to take on too is like the inquiry. Like, this week we get to inquire what gives you access. Like you yourself
Yes,
over there may have
brilliant.
your own thing that gives you access to
Hmm.
being in compassion with that person over there or
Yeah.
with yourself. And one thing that I just in this conversation I'm thinking of, like that moment I ask about them. Like, I can
Mm,
be so busy about myself and oh, I'm busy or oh, I have to do this and I'm like that. But the moment I just like oh, how are you?
mm.
Or what's that experience for you? Or what's that like? Just ask that question, even like just any kind of question over with them. It's like a lasso. It swings me out over with them. And
Yeah,
it really gives me a line over there with them. And then
yeah.
like it just represents me and reformats my thinking.
I mean, like I keep hearing, like the thing that actually makes the difference is to be present in the moment, right? So really, like, how do we get present in the moment, right?
Yeah. So that gets to be our game this week is like count the ways of all the different ways that give you access to compassion, you
Mm-hmm.
access to be over there with that other human, or you access to be there with yourself right now in that moment.
Yeah,
Like what gives you
brilliant.
the access? Because if we can get present to that, then we can use it. We can have tools in our back pocket that we can pull out.
Exactly. And we can replicate it, right? It's not just a
Yeah.
once off. We actually get the chance to have it replicable. Did I say it right?
Yeah. So, as you discover what gives you access, please share because you know what? Your share may give me access or somebody else access to something to take on. So, please share it in our Committed Parenting Facebook group or on our page. We'd love to hear from you. What gives you access to compassion?
Yeah, giddy
I look
up.
forward to it. Woo!
Me
I'm going to
too.
count the ways. Let me count the ways.
Yeah, I really love that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
And love you
Love
and
you.
bye.
Bye.